So there are so many tools and platforms out there these days that you can actually use to check if a company is giving dividends, how much they are going to pay you per share, when they are going to pay the dividend and all of that. But before I talk about these tools and platforms you can use to check, there are a couple of things you might not know about dividends. So the typical dividend would go through 4 stages. The first stage is the declaration date. The declaration date is when the company announces that, they are going to give dividends. The second date is the ex-dividend date. Your ex-dividend date is basically the cut-off date that determines whether you receive the dividend or not. If you buy the stock before the ex-dividend date, you will receive the upcoming dividend. But if you don't buy the stock before then, you will not receive it. You have to wait for a future announcement. Then the third stage of a dividend is basically the record date. Your record date is when the company checks who owns the shares, right? And then the fourth stage is the payment date. Now, one of the things a lot of people get excited about is that, they are going to pay me dividend, it's going to be plenty and all of that. Yeah, it might be plenty if you own a lot of shares, but you need to remember that dividends are actually subject to tax. So what that means is that if you get paid dividends now on, let's say, a US stock, for example, you'd usually have 30% deducted from that particular stock or ETF. I use the S&P 500 as an example. Let's say you bought the S&P 500 with a lot of money and you received dividend this quarter. They gave you, let's say, $100 dividend. What you're actually going to receive is $70. Why? Because dividends are, for US stocks are actually subject to 30% withholding tax. So 30% of that money is going to be taken away automatically, and you basically get the rest of the money. For Nigerian stocks, you have to pay 10%. So if you get 100 naira as dividend from a particular Nigerian stock, 10% of that will be taken, from the dividend. So I think that you should know this if you're looking to get into stocks that, would usually give you dividends. Now, for platforms you can use to check if a stock is giving dividends, for Nigerian stocks, African stocks, in fact, you can use African financials. They have this really detailed chart that will show you the ex-dividend date, when they paid dividend last and everything. So you can use African financials. You can use Yahoo Finance. When you go to a particular asset, like a stock or an ETF, you can see the ex-dividend date and you can also see the dividend yield as well. You can use AccessWallet as well. AccessWallet is a platform that was built by Nigerians. They have this really neat platform where you can, check what stocks are giving dividends, when they gave dividends last. They also have a calendar for dividends and everything. So I think that that's really cool. You can also ask Google or ChatGPT, when was the last time this particular company paid dividends? Do they even pay dividends? How much was it? And everything. So I hope this helps. If you have any questions for me, please let me know. And yeah, I'll see you guys. Bye.